Find the dot product of u equals 3i minus 4j and v, which equals 9i minus 12j. We also want to find the angle between them and then determine if the vectors are parallel, orthogonal, or neither. Remember, orthogonal just means 90 degrees, right? Or crossing at a right angle. Okay, so how do I find the angle between them? There's a formula for this, right? The cosine of theta. The cosine of theta is equal to the dot product, so u dot v, divided by the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v. So we actually have to do a couple things here, right? We have to find the dot product, we have to find the magnitude of u, find the magnitude of v, and get this number, right? Now remember, this gives us cosine of theta, so we actually need to determine what the angle is, right? Well, if you think about it, if the cosine of theta is equal to 0, then that means that the angle is 90 degrees, right? So if the cosine of theta equals 0, the angle is 90 degrees, that means that the vectors are orthogonal. Okay, so they will cross at a right angle. Now, also mathematically, if you look at that, right? If cosine of theta is equal to 0, that means that the dot product is equal to 0. Okay? So actually, we don't even need to finish the problem, right? As long as we get the dot product equal to 0, then we know that the vectors are orthogonal, right? We don't need to do the rest of the work, okay? Oh yeah, just a reminder, right? If cosine of theta is 0, that means that theta is 90 degrees or 270, right? Either way, the vectors will be orthogonal. Well, what if cosine of theta is equal to 1, right? If cosine of theta is equal to 1, that means that the angle is either 0 degrees or 180 degrees. Then the vectors are parallel. And unfortunately, any other situation, we just have to figure out, right? So the only special cases are if cosine of theta is equal to 0, or if the cosine of theta is equal to 1, or negative 1, I should say. Okay. So if you get any other number besides 0, 1, or negative 1, then we just have to complete the problem, figure out what the angle is. Okay. So let's do that first, right? Let's find the dot product, right? U dot v. So we know that u is equal to 3i minus 4j. We know that v is equal to 9i minus 12j, right? So the dot product is 3 times 9, which is 27, plus negative 4 times negative 12, which is a positive 48. That gives us 75, right? That is the dot product. Okay, well, it's not 0. Okay, so we actually just going to have to proceed with the problem here, right? So then what is the magnitude of u? The magnitude of u is the square root of 3 squared plus negative 4 squared. Hopefully these numbers look a little bit familiar, right? 9 plus 16 is 25. So we get 5 as the magnitude of u. And then for the magnitude of v, we'll do the same thing. Basically just the Pythagorean theorem, we get 9 squared plus negative 12 squared. Okay, well, 9 squared is 81. 12 squared is 144. Add them together to get 225. So the square root of that is 15. Okay. So finally, let's plug this in, right? Okay, cosine of theta is going to equal the dot product, which is 75, divided by the magnitude of u, which is 5, times the magnitude of v, which is 15. Oh, notice what we get here. Right, 5 times 15 is 75, right? 75 over 75. So cosine of theta is equal to 1. So we can conclude then that the vectors are going to be parallel. So remember, once you get the dot product equaling 0, the vectors are orthogonal, we're done. Right? Any other case, you got to continue with the problem. If you get cosine of theta equals 1 or negative 1, we know that the vectors are parallel. Any other number, though, yeah, you just got to get that angle. Then they're not going to be orthogonal or parallel.